So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our second session of SEEDIG and second morning session for today. Our session is focused on digital skills for lifelong learning in the data economy. We will be together for 1 hour and a half. I am Ljubljana Sula. I will moderate this session. I come from Albania. I am lecturer and researcher in digital skills and digital literacy at the University of Durrës, and I recently got the PhD from Estonian Business School, where I researched about online networking competencies for young millennials. So I'm pretty much inside of these topics. This topic is a topic which was started already during our first high-level session when we talked about digital policies, and the huge focus was on digital literacy, digital skills, digital natives, and digital migrants, which are adults or seniors or people that are not born in this digital era. Our session will be focused mostly on how to be ready for data economy, how to build our capacities with skill set for the data economy, especially in Southeastern European region. And what are the main challenges in our countries? How to improve digital inclusion? Who should be responsible for digital skills education? Should be responsible the governments or should be responsible the other stakeholders? This is a very challenging topic because even the skills definition itself is a bit, let's say, huge, large. You can include everything and you can exclude everything. It's one of these things that we search for definition, but it's a construct that changes every day. And today with me, we will have 3 panelists which represent different stakeholders and work in the field. We decided to give firstly a regional and maybe a bit local perspective to the session, having a speaker from one of the most important stakeholders, which are responsible for digital education and digital literacy, which is Mr. Borut Champel from the Ministry of Education, Science and Sport of Slovenia. Then we have Ms. Sabrina Vorbau from European Schoolnet, Brussels, Belgium, and Mr. Victor Tomé from the Center on Research in Art and Communication from Portugal. After our speakers will introduce themselves and speak about their project, I will introduce you to the format of this session. This session will be a bit different from the other sessions because we have 3 empty chairs. Actually 2, because maybe me also, I will be sitting sometimes. I don't like to sit because I'm a teacher myself and I love to be in front of people. So it was a challenge even being fixed there. Every one of you can join the session afterwards if you like some of the arguments or of the topics, and we will be motivating you to join because the format is called Fishbowl. So for this we have empty chairs and the discussion will be, let's say, a bit more informal, and we tried to avoid a bit these standard presentations. Before our speakers speak, I wanted to introduce you some of the brief results that we have from our SEEDIG survey about digital skills. We had a survey. I don't know, has any one of you filled the survey that we had about digital skills? It was not just about digital skills, it was about different topics of the session, but one of the sections was about digital skills. For me, the findings were very interesting because I like the first question, which is for you, what is more important, to have like basic literacy or to have digital literacy. And then all the people somehow agreed that they like to have both of them, like 70% of people. Then other people said that maybe digital literacy is more important. And you realize it that sometimes when we have a piece of normal paper, when we don't see, sometimes we want to zoom it because we are too dependent on technology. Then some other questions were asked. What are the most important skills for you? We had a rank of skills, which were from skills on how to use a device, how to use these services, and then we moved towards skills such as information sharing, information research, knowledge sharing, and online learning and self-development. And we see that information sharing and online learning, which are more connected to our session, to this concept of lifelong learning, they are not among the very top skills. So people consider that digital skills, maybe they are more useful for daily activities, such as using an app or using an online service, but still, more than half of people feel that you can learn online. Then we had also, yeah, here you see some of the results. You can move the slide. I already mentioned it. Then in the second, just in the 15th slide, here you have like the classification of skills, and you see that information search and sharing and online learning and self-development, they are not among the top skills. So people, 89% of people think that they should have an effective use of online services and application. As I said, it's more a practical perspective. Or is a cultural matter as well. I have researched about that. There is a perception, still this idea of learning online is cute, is nice. It's not a new concept. It didn't start with online platforms, but it is good. I mean, but still in our region, maybe people have a cultural barrier that it comes also from our cultural context, which, because we are societies coming from a high context culture as well. You can move on the next slide. Yes. So how do you assess your digital literacy and readiness? Well, most of the people agree, more than half, that they have advanced digital literacy and readiness. Then how to define this digital readiness? Is just skills or is more than skills? So maybe like these people answered, but the concept itself we will discuss further on this session. Then I guess, we come to our great question: who should be responsible for digital education and for educating digital skills? Most of the people agree that governments and then individuals, users themselves, that they should be responsible for the education, and then comes academia, civil society, and technology companies. So I wanted to share this with you just to have an overview of what we did in our survey, and then we will discuss the most important topics during the session. Now the floor is for our panelists. They will a bit introduce themselves and their projects. And then we will continue the discussion with the fishbowl format. Thank you. We will start with Borut from the Ministry of Education, Science and Sport of Slovenia.
Thank you. I would like to welcome you, of course, here, everyone, to Slovenia, although I know that there are many Slovenian participants and your colleagues. So definitely, you know, if we start here with the answers, in one side, the government definitely is one of the most important stakeholder to support and to encourage the digital skills. I'm coming from the Ministry of Education, from the Education Development Office, so I'm doing more with these development things. So what we have at schools, it's in whole Europe, we have digital skills mentioned in all curriculums and also plans. But of course, if I say the devil is in details, you know, what's really happening, you know. I will try to, of course, to be very short. So I will just say what we do mostly with our headmaster and teachers, who are some kind of ambassadors to really develop those skills with pupils. One point is that in Slovenia we had our project had started in 1993, and we really had a systematic development of digital skills. Especially in the past years, we also developed e-competent teacher framework. Like now also the European Commission published it, for example, this DComp Edu, where these digital e-competences are very important. But what we really have in the classroom, you know, this is the most important question, because we train teachers, most of them, and also many of researchers show is also, you know, for example, Mente project with European Schoolnet coordinates in 11 countries, and it shows that teachers are quite confident to have it. Of course, there are still many things to do, but the big gap is what's really happening in classroom, and definitely this is the big issue, because we know that around 20%, or maybe in some subject 30% of teachers are really integrating ICT in everyday education. And then maybe also some points about assessment, because we know that at schools we still have many times this frontal, like we have here, frontal lessons, and this is the case in many countries in Europe. And we try to encourage teachers, because this is the way which seems it could be okay, that the teachers together develop not only digital skills, but also other skills from 21st century skills, and they assess it through the process. So it's not only marking at the end, but they really develop skills through the process. We use here the e-portfolio, and we can see that this assessment is going on then like peer assessment with peers, with teachers, and of course also self-assessment. I will just short mention the ATS 2020. This is one of the projects where we really developed in 10 European countries this model, and we also started last year in Slovenia, and we will spend around 20 million euros, where we try to go on with these activities. So maybe this short.
So thank you for your nice presentation, and very, very, very clarifying as well. And it is also a best practice for other countries from the Balkans, as I guess we have a lot of people from all around the Balkans in the audience. I guess even from the Ministry of Education as well, or for others from other states agencies. And maybe it's a best practice to take and to share. Now we will have a short introduction from Sabrina Verbau from European Schoolnet. Thank you.
Thank you, Ljubljana. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sabrina Verbau. I'm originally from Germany, but I'm working for European Schoolnet in Brussels. European Schoolnet is a network of ministries of education. We are working on a range of projects, focusing on innovation, STEM education, and digital skills. I'm part of the digital citizenship team, and as part of my work, I'm working for the Better Internet for Kids project, which is we do on behalf of the European Commission, and we're coordinating a network, the InSafe InHope network of safer internet centers. And through this work, we also work with a range of national organizations in the CEE region. Recently, as part of this project, we have been conducting a Better Internet for Kids policy mapping together with colleagues from the from the EU Kids Online project. And one of the questions there was also how far media literacy and digital education is part of the national curriculum. And we definitely see this increasing. For example, internet safety education, from the 26 countries that participated, 16 have this implemented already. So we see that's definitely increasing. With the work we're doing at European Schoolnet, we are also offering professional development opportunities, especially for teachers. For example, MOOCs, massive open online courses. We have over 1,000 teachers who signed into our last online safety MOOC from all over the globe. So we see there's a clear need from teachers to get more information about trends and issues, but also how they can face challenges, and also for them to receive some practical information. How can I actually talk with my students about fake news, data protection, cyberbullying, so on and so forth. So we are trying to provide some practical solutions and also resources. We are, with the work we're doing with our network, we're also trying to make these resources available in all the different languages, because this is very essential for teachers to have material in their own language, and also localized material, because obviously we all know Europe is very diverse, so something that perhaps works in Belgium doesn't necessarily work in Slovenia. So this is also something very important. I will stop here, and I'm happy to share more best practices later.
Thank you, Sabrina, for your introduction. And now we will have our last speaker, invited speaker, which is Vitor Tomé from the Research Center in Arts and Communication from Portugal. He will share with us his projects and his experience in the field and his challenges, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Ljubljana. Good morning, everybody. I would like to thank you for the invitation to be here. And in Portugal, actually, I'm working as a journalist, a researcher, and I'm also teaching at university. And I'm working in different research projects, but two of the projects, one at the macro level and the other one at the micro level, could be helpful in this panel and to discuss in this panel. The first project is a project from the Council of Europe, and it's called Digital Citizenship Education. It started in March 2016, and it was officially presented in September 2017 in Strasbourg. The idea was to understand through a survey and literature review what is digital citizenship education. And the main aim is to find what can we do regarding the competencies that we need, or citizens need, to be active and effective citizens in the 21st century. And according to other projects from the Council of Europe, one of them is called Competences of Democratic Culture, we need to define how can we teach if this teaching could be effective. That means, or this means that could the students learn about values, attitudes, and not only about skills, and not only about knowledge and critical understanding. So we have four main areas here. All the information is available online, and I'll be glad to share with you the link, no problem. And we will have a new handbook. It's called Digital Citizenship Handbook. I think it's going to be published maybe next month of July or August. I'm not sure yet. The second project is a very small project that started in Portugal in 2016. And the idea was, first, we need to start digital citizenship education from the crib, when children are really, really young. So we need to work with very young children. And we started the project training teachers on digital citizenship education. Working with them, helping them, developing new activities. The idea is not to do more, the idea is to do different, to work differently. The teachers proved that they were able to develop very interesting activities without changing their previous pedagogical plans. And now we were able to involve the families, and we came up with the community project that is really, really interesting. And I think this project may be or can be replicated in Portugal or abroad, of course, with the several adaptations regarding the context. And for now, I think it's the main ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all our speakers. As I explained before, the format of this session is fishbowl. So we left, even if normally the format requires a circle, so one seat is left empty, and then depending on the topic, on the interest of on the topic, someone joins, discusses, and leaves the table, and then one chair is empty, and then someone else joins. We will try to adapt because we don't have the right setup, and we will try to motivate you to come to discuss with us. So the first point that I wanted to mention is this famous, or this very trendy and catchy and fancy thing of digital inclusion, digital skills and digital inclusion. So we hear every day this concept of digital native, digital migrant, who is native, who is migrant, and who is better, who has more digital skills. Are migrants having more digital skills, or do they need more digital skills? Digital natives, because they are born digital, are they more skilled than migrants? How skills can be transferred from migrants to natives? So this is the first, let's say, kind of subtopic that I will throw in the table, and I would like to have from the audience someone who feels that is a digital native. And it's not a matter of age. Your age is in your spirit and heart, so even if you are not born digital, maybe you feel that you are a digital native, so you can join and talk with us. Or someone young from the youth school, maybe you can join and talk with us if you want. Or we start, and then if you are interested, you can join us. Nobody? Okay, you can come, please. The seat is empty for you. Just you will introduce a bit yourself. Just sit over there. And I would like to have a digital migrant, someone who is an adult maybe and wants to join our panel and discuss with us. No? Okay, if you feel that you are a digital migrant, why not?
She's lying. She's lying, I know her.
Okay, as I told you, age is a matter of... So, quickly introduce yourself, name and surname, and why do you feel a migrant or an adult or both? I don't know, and then we continue our discussion on this matter of inclusion and how we can, and even your own experience from your country as well.
Okay. My name is Tanja Pavleska. I come originally from Macedonia, but I've been working here for around 10 years in Slovenia. I work at the Institute Jožef Stefan. It's a research institute. I am mainly dealing with information technologies, information security, trust and reputation, and since recently also governance and regulation in the field of social media and information. So I feel like digital native because I've spent quite enough time at the beginning of my life without technology and without internet, and then I'm pretty much aware of the processes, societal, mental, individual, cultural, that are needed to become part of of a digital process, let's call it that way, although no one still defined digitalization, what it means. And I think that I know the issue from more perspectives, and that is why I feel native, because I can talk from different angles.
Perfect. So what about you? You feel digital migrant or?
Indeed. I have kids that are digital natives, so I cannot claim being on the same level as they are. Yeah. So hello everyone, I'm Tanja Kerševan-Smokvina from Slovenia. I used to work for 18 years in the regulatory authority dealing with media and electronic communications, and now I am an independent researcher and also a teacher at one of our universities. So why I joined this panel is because I missed a little bit, it was a good start, but I missed a little bit a perspective of digital migrants in a way, because there was so much focus put on education of children. Okay. So, and I'm happy I see a representative of one of our ministries here, and mostly when we talk about media literacy, we tend to address this mostly from the perspective of education of our schooling systems and so on. So I guess I wonder where is the room for interdepartmental cooperation, and I would like to ask actually one or maybe all of the panelists whether there is enough discussion between different departments if we recognize the governments as one of the main stakeholders in this realm. And what should be the allocation of roles and responsibilities between the different departments, yeah. And maybe also whether there is a place for a regulator to step in as well.
Thank you. So, as I understand well, your major worry is that you don't feel that there is put so much emphasis in the education for adults. As you heard from the projects, they were more talking about kids, children, and maybe teenagers, or maybe digital natives in general. And this is a remark that actually was made even before. And this year at EuroDig, me and Sabrina, we are co-organizing a session about this digital literacy on adults. But how do you feel that in our region, or even outside in Europe in general, is this thing of having these two groups, which are migrants and natives, or we are all digital citizens independently from being migrants or natives? How do you feel about that? Or someone from the audience as well, you can express your thoughts. It's a free format, let's say. So, do you need this?
Yeah, maybe some comments or someone else.
Okay.
I mean, if someone else would like to.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You know, in the beginning, we really had a short introduction, so we couldn't say about all the aspects. So definitely one of the most important is if we would like to have really all citizens, not only youngs, also adults, to be active participants in the society, but also for Europe is very important also digital industry in Europe, because there is a big gap in Europe. We need to sit together and discuss, you know, and of course for the beginning this takes a lot of time, because there is really big gap about what I think, what is need, and you and others, I mean stakeholders. That's why in European countries we have these national digital coalitions for digital jobs and growth. And also in Slovenia and also in other countries, we have really here different stakeholders. In Slovenia, the priority in the next 2 years is education. And the coordinator of this digital coalition is not government, but it's actually one expert from industry. So definitely, but still this is the first point. And what we would like to do is, of course, to make a new way of working together, and we can do it through the projects, you know. first point is to find the existing project where we can open the discussion and make activities. And then the second point is to really establish new projects to do it. Maybe just short about this myth of digital natives, because right now, or maybe in the last couple of years, we had two myths. First is digital natives, which is totally wrong, because really the kids, they are growing with the technology, but they don't know what to do with it, This is the first point. And the second point is this digital demands, which is totally really a myth. And here, the most important is this gap, or we can say critical mass of those who really do things in new way and others. And in all sectors, there is also in the industry, especially in the small and medium enterprises, there is a small percentage of those who are really do this in their everyday life. Like I mentioned before, in schools, with teachers, we have the same with industry. We have a big discussion also with youth sector and others. So definitely there are a lot of aspects what to do. But we need to move fast. This is the big issue, And then...
Yeah, of course. Okay, just as a follow-up, and this is actually why I joined, because I missed this aspect. When we are talking about literacy, there are two aspects in the education. Employing digital means to facilitate the process of education,
Yes.
or digitalization is actually what we are learning. And in the first aspect, there is something that may relate to the projects that you mentioned. Where is the teacher in all of it? Because if the teacher employs digital means to facilitate the process of education, then the teacher must be confident first, because otherwise his or her authority as a teacher falls down. So to what extent is it meaningful to employ digital means, and for what aspect of the teaching process in the first place? And I haven't seen neither debate or a study that has researched this. Sometimes great educators do just well by drawing pictures on the table with chalk, and so is there any aspect research?
Yeah, you have the mic.
Okay, thanks for the question, because it's a big one. It's a very interesting question. And regarding media and media literacy, the question is, we can't ask teachers to teach with media. It's not enough. They need to teach about media in addition to teach with media. This is the main question. Media are important in the classroom, but if you use media only for TV shows or something like that, this is not enough. This is nothing. This is not teaching about media. This is not media education or media literacy. And if I may, just another small comment. I don't know if the words native and immigrant are the best ones. Anyway, I think I'm sure I belong to the last generation who knows how it is to live without internet. That it's the idea I have. And so if it is the last generation, so maybe we will. The immigrants are leaving the world. Okay, so we only have natives. We only have not young people, but we have people that we can consider digital natives. And I think regarding this specific topic, being digital literate or media literate or digital citizenship educated, it's not a process like a process of getting a diploma or getting a driver's license. It's a lifelong learning process. It doesn't. It has no end. It begins when we are born, and it has no hand. So we need to start with very young people, but you can't forget adults, of course. But what we need is, we need media literacy for journalists, we need media literacy for parents, we need media literacy for everybody. So we need to train teachers, but we need to train parents. So that means that we need to consider learning at the 3 levels: formal, informal, and non-formal. Because it's impossible to organize specific courses or training actions for parents, because parents are also teachers and are also journalists. We need to train everybody at the 3 levels, the 3 different contexts, for lifelong. That's my idea.
Yeah, Sabrina, yes, you can.
Just to hop in, and definitely I echo what both of the gentlemen said. Definitely digital natives. I think that's a nice terminology, but that doesn't necessarily mean that children and young people are digital competent in that sense, and also agree that media literacy should be a lifelong learning process, especially because trends and issues, they change so frequently, like new applications coming on the market every day. And about the adult education, I perhaps would like to introduce the idea, and we see this already happening, is to target the media literacy education of adults through actually young people. Because when we also think about the classroom setup, I think these topics, media education, online safety, so on and so forth, they invite to have a rather dialogue in the classroom, to not have the teacher standing in front of the class, giving a monologue, and he's the one who knows all the right and wrong answers. I think there are a lot of teachers who are open to shift this debate in the classroom and rather have a dialogue. I know it's scary for many adults that perhaps their child or their pupil knows more about certain applications than they do, but we see with the work we are doing with our youth ambassadors that many of them are really active in schools, giving actually sort of lessons to their teachers and also to other peers, like an 18-year-old giving a session to the younger pupils. So I think also there's much more openness, I think, than we generally think of. So I think targeting adults also through young people, I think this could be a process that could be introduced.
Yes, thank you. So we discussed a bit of different stakeholders you mentioned, and this is one of the points that I had in my schedule to discuss, and we saw it from survey. We have here in your back that who should be responsible for digital education, and we see that most of the people, they go to the government and to people themselves, and then they see academia and civil society and maybe technology companies, that like an addition of the two first groups. How do you feel about that? I mean, is just the government responsible for that, or yeah?
Well, I think that we should again distinguish the aspects about which we're talking. One is creation of the policies, plans. Another one is implementation. Now, when people answer questions, of course, we are republics, government-based and everything. Of course, the governments take major role in the implementation of the plans. But academia is the one that provides the major insights about all the influences. For example, I again will point out that I'm missing the neurological influence on the kids, because employing media and digital means shifts the focus from the teaching process, and this is very well known. Also, it leads to other attention problems during the class, and these aspects I don't see very much in all the projects about digital media. And this is something that academia provides and can influence the definition of policies, which are implemented then by governments. So everything is connected. I don't know whether we should talk about to which extent someone is important, but what are the right places where each of these actors should act.
Definitely. Yesterday at the fellowship discussions, we had a lot of discussion around this question. And first, nobody agreed that, every one of us agreed that, okay, government, we know that in our cultural setup in Southeastern Europe, we see government as some kind of supra power and stuff like that. But we see also that we don't like government as stakeholder to take care of everything, and we had a huge debate yesterday. Then at the end we came with a message that governments should play the most important role together with academia and civil society.
Before going to digital citizen, you have to learn what citizens means first.
Yeah. So you go for the government. I mean, all of you, or I don't know, what are your impressions about this? Should just government be at the center of every kind of action in digital education?
I mean, they definitely play an important role because they are the ones that endorse the policies. But I think especially setups like the SEEDIG or the General Internet Governance conferences are a perfect platform to bring all these stakeholders together, to have this multi-stakeholder approach. And I absolutely agree with you with like putting a theory into practice, like, okay, there's a policy, but how can this be actually implemented? We see this at the moment with the implementation of the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. It's an interesting policy, but how does this work for the ordinary citizen? How does this work for the local school? Within the work we're doing with Better Internet for Kids, we are definitely trying to work with all these stakeholders. We have recently actually worked together with academia, and we have done a mapping of the age of consent around the EU countries, and we are working, for example, with EU Kids Online on the big policy mapping, so there is some interaction with academia, while, for example, with European Schoolnet as an institution, we're working with the ministries. Obviously, working on online safety, you need to talk to the providers, to the social media networks, so we're trying to bring them around the table and foster these exchanges, and obviously not forget the children, the teacher, the adult, everybody. So I think definitely, and I think the numbers, even if there is like a sort of prioritization, but the percentages are very close to each other. So I think multi-stakeholder approach is the only way to go in this case.
Yes.
Maybe just short comments, maybe one example from Slovenia. You know, in Slovenia, I mean, these results show that it's totally, I mean, it mentioned totally top-down approach of government, where we have this authority, budget, and etc. And the second one is totally, I mean, the individual is totally bottom-up. Yes. But what we tried in Slovenia also mixed of top-down and bottom-up, because as I said, if there is just we are waiting for the government to something would happen, I don't know when, then it's not good. So we try to have a project where government or ministries, we are a partner as others. So everyone has his autonomy and responsibility, but we cannot be responsible for everything, you know, and maybe this is also a good example. We call it opening up Slovenia, which means that we try to open education in this way. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I think we have okay. You go first, or you? Okay.
Hello, my name is. Oh, okay. Thank you. My name is Kristina. I'm from Kristina Hakopian. I'm from Armenia, and I want to share a best example of collaboration, different stakeholders in one project, which name is ARMAT, Armenian Mathematics. Okay, ARMAT. So the project was established by the Union of Information Technology Enterprises, which is non-profit and non-government union, which include a lot of companies, from entities from IT and high-tech companies, and our company also is the member of this union. So The project description is that the aim of the project is to improve the technical education based in Armenian. The main establishment is that Union of Enterprises opened laboratories in almost 225 schools in different regions of Armenia. And what they are doing, they are improving the technical education base of Armenia, guide the professional orientation of pupils, prepare the professional workforce with the technical education, which will expand to the sector, and then the most important result expected from the implementation of the project are the stimulation of technological education in Armenia, the expansion of technological employment, and the establishment of additional economic activity both in area of advanced technologies and the adjustment sectors. So now almost 5,000 pupils are busy with this project, and we have best results, I mean, in our region. So I hope it will be a best practice for other countries, and that's all.
Okay. Thank you very much for your remark. Maybe someone else wanted to share its own experience with us, yes, at the end, or question, or I don't know. Feel free to join. Someone else will leave and you come. Blerton, you will come? Okay, thank you. As you want. If you are interested, you can stay. It's not a problem.
Thank you. My name is Blerton Abaze. I come from Kosovo, from University for Business and Technology. In fact, I just want to connect with the issues that we have discussed until now. Teachers using media, and regarding the responsibility, personally, I think that the most responsibility should go to the academia using the digital technology. We should not rely on government most of the time, because usually they will take time until they will develop some issues. So basically, maybe the government may be the driver to make some easy processes, easy policies for the academia to develop these digital skills and digital literacy. My concern, I have divided on 2 points. First, teachers, is easier for them to use the media, to use digital skills, digital tools in order to provide lectures. But in the other side, we have the students. On the last report that have been developed from one of the EU European institutions, it says that from 2012 until 2017, the students has changed the use of equipments from laptops to smartphone and tablets. Personally, I have bad experience. When I lecture on the laboratory on our university, students, they have big computers, they have 30 inches screens, and in the same time they read from their iPhones, which is bad. I mean, this has also other medical issues and things. But I think that how we can solve the issue, so the students will use the media. The students will raise the culture of using the media in university, such as computers, laptops, or big PCs, and not using the small smartphones during the learning, because we see this as a big issue. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experience. How do you feel about that? Because our big debate yesterday was also, is just a question that students are not adapted to this kind of classroom, or is also the curricula that somewhere is wrong? Because yesterday I was talking to the girls, maybe they are a bit younger than me, but I remember in Albania of 2000s, we had ITC classes. And I remember at that time that, I mean, they were not so useful for us, because even those ITC basic skills we didn't learn, and we didn't learn anything digital. And now I hear also children and teenagers and people at university that the curricula from one part is okay, but from the other part it doesn't include digital skills. Maybe there are just basic ITC skills, like for everyone, but this part of digital, because we have to see this difference between digital skills and ITC skills. How do you feel about that? How can be the curricula improved? Is it just responsibility of the ministry who asks us each year to draw up our plans and stuff, or is it responsibility of the teacher on his teaching way, or is it the responsibility of the student?
In fact, while building the curricula, there are three main regulations that we have to build. There is the European Competency Framework. It's the ACM, and one of the last one, I think IEEE, or I cannot remember, which is based on developing curricula. With this Bologna process, with the new process of developing curricula, there is a must that should have been implemented 20 to 30% of the digital skills, not the ICT skills. We are not talking about the ICT, but we are talking about the digital skills. So basically, most of the universities in Southeastern Europe, they have developed this, and I'm proud of that. Even the Western Balkan countries have a very high range use of the ICT technology on the university, but in the other side we have the issues of not properly usage, because my concern is that many universities are seeking to use high level of technologies, for example, many other which are high paid. While in our university, for your information, most of the technologies that we use are open source, that are freely available to develop, to use them, to implement, and the students are eager to learn it. So basically, for the first year students that will come to university, they are adaptable. They can be adapted in any technology that you can provide. The way is how the university can present the technology to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe someone wanted to join. Okay. Yes, we should start with you first if you want to say something, or with the lady, as you wish.
Hi, Vale. Okay, I don't have an answer. I comes from, I spent the last 23 years of my life in Bosnia. And Bosnia succeeded to have a census. And the census say that we are illiterate. We are illiterate in general. There is a 5% of youngsters that are illiterate. Illiterate, not computer illiterate, illiterate. And then there is computer illiteracy. And we are an old population. The average is 40. So this is the area where I come from. And then my question, or it's a reflection about the education, because the bias, it's in all what we do, and we have several biases. So I'm wondering about sexuality, education, and digital. There are many apps on menstruation that collect all the data. Young girl use, less young girl use, whoever is in this reproductive age, use those apps. So are we also talking about our bias? Are we also mixing, and which kind of digital is an ableist ideology? If I have no hands, if I don't see, which technology? Because this is for me what means really inclusion and learning. Sorry for not have answering, I just have given another question.
Thank you. Maybe one of our panelists. Do you want to?
Well, I can try, but I'm here with a little bit different mission, but I will also maybe just join the appeal that you shared with us. My name is Katja Koren-Ošljak. I'm Slovenian ambassador of the very nice project, European project, Code Week, Europe Code Week. We are trying to bring digital literacy to all. Predominantly, our project is targeting children, kids, school kids, but also we are trying to reach beyond reach out to older people, to have like special programming and digital literacy courses for older, and an example for refugees. Like there are some ambassadors that are working at refugee camps and trying to bring digital literacy coding skills to refugees, so they would be able better to kind of click into society, find a job, etc. Yeah, but what I wanted to actually say is, looking at this graph, that we expect a lot of government of politics to do in this field. But as I understand it, I mean, we all have to be included. I'm like probably on this civil society level. In Slovenia, there's a lot of there's a lot of going on. It's about, we did last year some research. We identified about 40 initiatives, clubs, societies that are all working on media digital literacy in Slovenia. Yeah, every one of these is bringing like a small puzzle to the map. And what I also find nice is that I'm in contact often with Borut here, with the ministry. They are trying to open their doors for us, so helping us to push our ideas, to bring them to schools. They help us with communication with schools, to let the schools and teachers know that we have maybe some toolkits, some materials for teachers that they can use in their classes. So yeah, I believe like it's going on. It should happen like on different levels, not just on the government level, but also civil society. That's until we come to the ideal society where everybody will be included and taught digital literacy in classes, let's say.
Thank you very much. So we see that in Slovenia this multi-stakeholder approach works. Coming back to Valentina's comment, I was just saying, I mean, Blairton intervened and stuff. For me, I have the same concern. I mean, it's not just knowing how to open a computer or downloading an app, but how to make better inclusion of different needs of people and to assess the needs. I mean, people should be digitally ready from a different perspective. Then I have a question in my mind. How digitally ready are we in Southeastern Europe? Because when I see statistics, even for Albania, we have problems with illiteracy. And sometimes our prime minister said, it's not very nice to say, but we have functional literate people. Maybe we have people that they know to write, to read, and to use a computer, but they don't know how to do and for what to use it. How do you feel about this? How digital? How are we ready or are we not ready, or how we can be ready? Maybe. Okay, you start.
I apologize, I'm not from the Southeastern Europe, but anyway.
West Europe. So
I'm from the south of Europe. And we have, but anyway, we have similar problems. Don't worry, because even, for instance, in Portugal, the education system, it's really, really top down. And that's one of the problems that we have now. But to empower people, and all people, not only young people, but all people in a country, I think we need to learn first, or need to have this in mind. It is important to access and to use the equipments, the devices, the digital devices. And maybe young people is more skilled to use these devices. But that doesn't mean that they are skilled to interpret media messages, to produce media messages in a reflexive and creatively way. And this is crucial. I need to know how to communicate. I need to know how to disseminate a message to a specific public. And another idea is we don't need only to have citizens empowered at the media literacy level. This is not enough. Media literacy, it's an important one, but it's just a dimension of citizenship.
Okay, thank you very much. We have someone else who joined our panel. Sergo, you want to say something? Yes.
Yeah, my name is Sergo Karakozov. I'm from Georgia, and I represent the private sector. But I wanted to look at this question from a different point of view. With digital natives, they don't require as much literacy because it comes natural to them. I think the biggest part of the responsibility on the products that are being developed in digital markets are the designers. I think it's a design issue and not education issue to create products and solutions that cover vast markets. So if you look at some of the major examples like Google and Facebook and how people of different ages are able to use their products, it's not a coincidence. They've actually spent a very, very long time researching how that's done to cover that spectrum of age. So in this case, I think maybe the academia and the government should focus more on producing quality designers who will then provide quality products which will not require any additional education. So in a new market, for example, when you take computer games and you give them to kids, they don't come with a manual. They just turn it on and they use it automatically. When you download a new app on your phone, a popular app, it doesn't come with instructions. You just use it. So any product in the future that will be developed from the design standpoint will probably be successful and will be used by different people. But products which are not developed that way will always cause problems in different areas.
Okay, thank you. You wanted to add something?
I totally agree about the relevance of usability, but I don't think it's only about the designer, because there is the programming. Yes, Facebook is super simple, but Facebook drive you where they want you to go. So it's true, we need to work with that, but beyond the usability and the design, there is the algorithm, there is the purpose.
Of course.
And so that's why I think education need really to enter the code.
Well, at first
because
there's the
bias
intent.
are there.
There's the intent that comes from the designer, and then there's the engineering that makes it possible. But the actual idea, how it's supposed to work, the adaptation of the product, that comes from the design. And then the engineers actually make it happen. Is it on?
Okay, any other thought about this readiness issue, about this education issue? Yes, you want to join, and someone maybe I can. Oh, yeah, yeah. Maybe, yeah, yeah. Please, yes. Just.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone needs to.
Okay.
Move. Yeah. Thank
sorry.
you.
There is one irony. We state that we are, I don't know, illiterate, digitally literate and everything, and then you hear how a Macedonian group of teenagers influenced the elections in USA, which doesn't speak about illiteracy, right? They pretty much know how to use it, and not only to use it for digital purpose, but for business gains, political gains, or whatever. So in that sense, I don't think that it's just the design of the products. I mean, see the knife, you can use it to cut bread, but you can use it to kill someone, and it doesn't mean that it's not designed properly.
The point is that when you take the knife into your hands, you don't have to watch a video tutorial or go to a college to know how to use it. It just becomes
Which means
native.
raising awareness is important, parallel to the process of designing properly, right?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Made my point. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I just want to add another thing on a different subject, though.
Yeah.
As far as the projects that make literacy possible and that feed into each other. There's this organization called World Skills International. I don't know if anybody knows what it is. It's basically the Olympic Games for trades. And some of the trades that they have on the list are digital trades like graphic design and web development. So every 2 years or so, they get together somewhere in the world and they actually have those Olympic competitions. But the good thing is that they have a Euroskills version as well that happens every 2 years. And the students who participate in those competitions are under 22 years of age. And these are usually students of vocational education. So the students are represented by the experts who are the teachers in vocational training centers. So basically what they do is they go and learn for 2 years and they compete. They teach each other from different countries as to what news are there in a trade, and then that feeds back into the education standards. So every 2 years, the vocational education in most of the European countries is being updated on a bigger scale. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I became panelist now in another role. I totally agree with you that we should have better designers. The product should be designed better in order to make better users, maybe. But I don't want to defend my perspective of my profession. But still, I believe that education has a role to play somewhere there. Because even when you say we need to have better designer, then I see still education coming back to the cycle. We have to teach. And the problem is that this, especially teaching digital skills in Southeastern Europe, I speak for the Balkans, I will not go farther than the Balkans, and I speak for that part of the Balkans that is, that entered recently European Union, which is not part of the European Union. I'm not speaking for Greece, maybe, or countries that were before in European Union. But we face the same challenges. The things that I hear, even from Vitor, which is from Southern Europe, or maybe Valentina from Italy and Bosnia, we have the same problem. School has this. We are missing something in the educational system. Maybe it's a thing of teaching methods, maybe it's a thing of curricula, maybe it's a thing of readiness of people to learn and motivation of people to learn as well about digital skills. This is a big mystery that I have in my head. Actually, do students, children, adults, only when they need digital skills, or maybe only when they know that they need to be skilled because now the job market is like this. You need to know also about the digital component. How do you feel about this? And maybe on this note, we can close afterwards because our time limit is a bit. Yes, you can. Yeah, of course.
Regarding this specific topic, I think, according to some reports, from 60 to 85% of the future jobs were not invented yet. So we need media literate people, okay, but we need active citizens, effective citizens that are creative and that can be innovative. That's my idea.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, please.
Just to I think when we talk about digital skills, it's now not only obviously about, okay, a lot of people immediately think about, okay, that's something very technical. And as you gave the example in 2000, that was maybe it. It was like this IT class, and stereotypically, okay, there were most guys were interested in. And also media literacy is not only anymore about just consuming content, but also creating content. So we need to encourage young people from an early age on to also be digital creators. And I think there are a lot of initiatives. We heard earlier hackathons, and the lady who was joining us in the panel before, she spoke about the Code Week, for instance. So I think this is there are probably many more other initiatives, and then also about the motivation and especially the curriculum. I think definitely we hear from a lot of teachers that they don't have time to teach digital skills. We know that a lot of them trying to integrate this in their daily curriculum, like I'm a math teacher, a history teacher, how can I give a digital component to my lesson? So we're also trying to approach this. It doesn't need to be like a full hour on digital skills, but how can I integrate this in my in my daily curriculum? And I agree what you said, that we also trying to educate young people for jobs that may not exist at the moment. And I'm just thinking also about new challenges coming up, like virtual reality, artificial intelligence. Like, how do we face this next generation internet?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, maybe just short comments. You know, definitely for the past maybe 3-4 years, it's a big debate about this level of digital skills. But I would just like to mention the action call for action, which is the name is from digital consumers to digital creators, and it was published last month in Bulgaria. Maybe you already discussed about this. And here you can see, when you ask if we done everything, of course, we haven't done many things. So definitely we have different perspective to these digital skills, because if you can say ICT as a black box, you know, we need to have skills to use the black box, but for the future, especially of young generation and future jobs, it's to know more about what's happening in this black box, because we know that artificial intelligence is coming, so we don't want that our young people in the future will become robots from the computer, but should be vice versa, that still ICT should be a robot for humanity.
Very nice remark. I will become, again, the moderator. Do you want to join? Oh, no. we need to wrap up. Okay. So we had a very nice discussion with a lot of panelists that voluntarily joined, and they gave us very great insights about the issues that we discussed about digital natives, digital migrants, digital readiness, digital skills. And we all agree that it's a matter of education, and it's a matter of having multi-stakeholderism inside this approach. But Barut said it very nicely. It is good to have robots, but it is good to have robots for humanity as well. So we need to have this soft aspect of skills. Now, before ending our session, I will invite our two rapporteurs, which is Andrijana Gavrilovic from Diplo Foundation and Diana Mulej. They will just present the messages of this session, and we have to agree as a whole with consensus that those messages reproduce what was said and what it is maybe right or politically correct to say. Are you ready? Yes, of course. I'm not sure if I'm that loud.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrijana, and I will read the messages Dana and I wrote. The first one is, learning how to be a digital citizen is a lifelong process because the technology changes very fast. Yes or no? No, no? Okay. We must differentiate between digital and IT skills. Yes or no? Okay. All stakeholders have a part in advancing digital literacy. Governments adopt the policies, but academia can influence those policies. Yeah? Sure? Okay. Media literacy isn't just about consuming content anymore. It's also about creating it. We need media literate people that can be active citizens and be innovative. Yes? Okay, you liked that one. The importance, yeah, I could hear it. The importance of having digital literacy as part of the curriculum. Okay, it's important to have digital literacy as part of the curriculum. It's important for teachers to have resources in their own languages and materials that are localized. Yes. Okay then, thank you very much. You've been very cooperative.
So I would like to thank again our speakers. field and you have motivation